Holla, I'm Trump, and you're listening to Concede.
Greetings.
Hello.
Greet my Greece.
Well met.
I greet you. Greetings, traveler. Greetings, friend.
The pleasure is mine.
Hello and welcome to episode 165 of Concede, a Hearthstone podcast dedicated to making the competitive side of the game more accessible to you. Joining you from Gadgetan, New York, live, late at night, it's after 10 o'clock. It's me, Ridiculous Hat. From Karazhan, California, we have Bodikus.
Hi. Hi. Oh man, my voice wasn't ready.
I'm
Oh no.
Do you want to rebuy? Do you want to say hi again?
No, you can use the second one. The second one was good.
All right, that's fine. More manual edits. I like that. Also from the Maelstrom, Louisiana, we have Appa.
Hat's getting older. Bodikus is losing his voice. I can't click the unmute button. This is gonna be a good one. It's gonna be a good,
We're all
good meme of
so
an
tired
episode.
out from all the Hearthstone we've been playing.
Well, sort of. Mostly school for
It's-
me, but
We're
we'll
doing
get
a
to that
bit.
in a second.
It's all the Hearthstone we've been playing, obviously. And a special guest this week from the Ungoro Crater on the other side of Louisiana, it's Bemmie. Welcome to the show, Bemmie. How are
Hello.
you?
I'm good. How are you, buddies?
Doing okay. Thanks so much for coming on. We're going to get to know Bemmie in a little bit, but Bemmie is a esports tournament organizer and caster and producer and doer of things, and this seemed like a good week because of all the news we're going to talk about. So we're going to talk to him, but first, we're going to talk to you, the listener, and we are supported in large part by you, listener, so thank you so much for your support. If you'd like to find out how you can support us and receive rewards in return, head to patreon.com/coinconcede. We have 2 new patrons this week. We've got Carp for their pledge. Thank you for your pledge, large fish. And Ryan... What? A carp is a large fish.
You're right.
And
It's like that's a fact.
it's just true. That's just a thing.
Sure.
We're not even 3 minutes in, and
It's
I got.
title of the episode, Carp is a large fish. I'm typing that in now. We don't have to worry about it later. And also,
Oh man.
our newest producer, thank you very much, Ryan H.
Man.
Ryan, you're good
Ooh.
peoples. So, thank you so much for
Thank you
being
so
our newest
much.
producer. Really appreciate it. Means a lot. And speaking of special things, next week, 12/12/18 in the US. If you use the European date format, that's 12/12/18. Jared Tendler, author of The Mental Game of Poker, will be on our show. So, Appa has listened to the book on Audible, totally free, if you use their trial offer. And you can actually get it if you just go to his website or go to his Twitter account. And we're really going to have an interview and conversation with him about the emotional aspects of card games, managing tilt, and all that stuff. I'm going to kick it to Appa to get a little bit more detail on what the book is about as a reminder, but please send us your questions on Twitter, on Discord, via email, and we'll be chatting with him, and we'll engage with him on stuff that's less Hearthstone specific and more game-related in general. Appa, give us a brief overview of what the book's about.
I mean, you already pretty much said what it's about. It's a lot about just handling tilt, handling your emotions when you're playing, and figuring out how you can improve and what your strengths and weaknesses are through honest self-reflection and like basically a desire to get better. It's a really insightful book, and it's something that's helped me quite a bit in the past probably 4 months, because I think I found it 3 or 4 months ago. So yeah, it's been a great read, and I would recommend it to anybody. And I actually, while Hat was talking, I posted a link to the pinned tweet where you can get his book for free in the show notes. So if you're looking for that link somewhere, it's in the show notes. Look no further.
Thank you, Appa. And yeah, I wanted to kick to you because I actually haven't read the book, but I'm going to have it read by the end of the weekend. Because I'm off this weekend because I don't work weekends anymore. It's really strange. And yeah, we're really excited to have Jared on next week. So big thanks to our listeners for connecting us with Jared. And we're really looking forward to the show next week. So get us your questions. But for now, we only have one question before we have all the other questions. Gentlemen, how is life? Bemmie, we're going to get to know you. But give us the rundown into how is life. And how is that can be within Hearthstone or outside of Hearthstone.
Life's really good. I'm just right now just working a lot part time in esports. I've been doing a lot of projects. I just was on TV for an interview for a casting gig that I did with Toyota in Bangkok, Thailand, and that's been going really well. And I've just been sort of getting ready for the new year, if you will. I'm just focused on WestG. WESG has been like taking up my entire life. So now after that, I have a lot of gigs coming up, Hearthstone related and non-Hearthstone related, and I'm super duper excited. And then in Hearthstone itself, I've just been having a lot of fun with the new expansion and pretty much just laddering on Whizbang in my spare time.
How are
That
the new
is-
decks for Whizbang? Have you gotten to play with a bunch of the new
So
ones?
good, they're so good. I love them. I love the new. I love the new shaman decks for it, and I love the discard. A lot of it's more towards control decks, less aggro. There's maybe only really paladin that's necessarily aggro, and I haven't really had run into like a bad Whizbang deck that you can handle. Really, the only one that's been like weird is Treants, and that's about it.
Okay, that's cool. Yeah, because I know that from what I heard, Shaman was probably one of the weaker classes with Whizbang before the new archetypes came out. So that's good to hear that the new Shaman decks maybe got kicked up a notch. But
Love
yeah,
'em.
that's sweet.
Yeah, I'm looking at these lists and they actually look good. There is a Shutterwalk deck that has Zola and Serenite Chain Gang in it, but no Life Drinker. No. This has at least the Trailblazer. And yeah, this is a value Shutterwalk deck, which
You
looks
have my
awesome.
attention.
Yeah. It's Do you like Ungoro packs, Appa?
I like Angora packs and shaman cards, so
Yes.
this seems like
And
exactly up my alley.
And the other deck is a Zentimo Evolved Shaman with Big Bad Voodoo and Unstable Evolution and Thrall Deathseer. And
So good.
yeah. And it just plays a notorious 7-mana card called Giggling Inventor. You might not know this one. It's a 2-1 with Battlecry Summon 2, 1/2 mechs with Taunt and Divine Shield. And actually buffed in this deck over the previous iteration. Because 8 drops are great and 6 drops are questionable. So yeah, this looks pretty cool. I think Whizbang is a great idea for day 1 or day 2 of a new expansion. I wish I had tried that, but I didn't. So I'm sad. Not that sad. It's fine.
Yeah, like Hat's not gonna play a million deck lists that he sees from everybody online. Just the hoarder of deck lists and then play them all. I'm
You
just
don't
sad
know
that
me.
there wasn't a Hat stream to watch him learn all of the decks. That's always fun.
Once I stabilize, by learn all the decks, you mean misplay all the combo decks. Once I learn what this new schedule is going to be like, I may have stream time. I may. I just have to figure that out, but I may.
I hope so.
We'll see. And then, Appa, how are you doing? How's your life?
I'm doing great. I'm tired right now, and I will be for the next probably 12 hours. Well, longer than that, actually, because it's finals week for me, and that's always stressful. But the good news is that this is my last final tomorrow for this semester, and then after that, I will have one more semester until I graduate with a bachelor's degree finally after 5 years. So I'm excited for that, but tomorrow afternoon I have a seminar presentation for my 4,000 level English class. So I'm ready to get that over with, and then after that I'm going to be playing nonstop Hearthstone until HCT Philadelphia. So I'm having a good time on ladder though. New decks are fun. I'm trying to jam in games between studying and writing this presentation and everything.
So, like, you're almost done?
Like, I'll have another semester after this. Or are you referring to my presentation? I'm almost done with that.
School.
School. Yeah, I'm almost done. Getting
Well,
there.
That's awesome. Hey, good luck on your presentation, man.
Yeah, best of luck.
And
Thank
then,
you.
For you.
and then, good luck on the literal weeks of Hearthstone. And Botticus, I see here listed, how's life? Life is apparently aggro pirate Kingsbane rogue, so you have my attention.
Okay, so yesterday I took a quick break at work to try to not to get to rank 6, or sorry, rank 5 floor before the rollover. Was not successful, but got to rank 6 full stars. And then went back to work, came home, knocked out a couple WoW daily stuff, and then went over to Hearthstone and was watching Appa's stream, and he was playing some sweet shaman deck that was fun to watch. And I asked him what should I play to get to rank 5, and he gave me some suggestions, and then I ignored them and said Odd Rogue. And so I Odd Rogued up to rank 5, and that was sweet. And then I was like, all right, let's see what we can build. And my first idea was the Beastish Hunter deck that played Unleash the Hounds and then the Rezal Beast cards that I forgot what the name of it is.
Revenge
And
of the Wild.
Revenge of the Wild. And I played against a paladin who was playing Control Paladin and never had any minions. So I got off that deck real fast. I basically played that one game and I was like, all right, so now we're going to try aggro pirate Kingsbane rogue. And my first game, I prepped out a raiding party and then played weapon coin Sharkfin Fan, attack, kill your Kobold Librarian. And next turn, I played Deadly Poison, Bloodsail Raider, and killed their next minion. And then they died in a couple turns. And 2 games after that, I prepped out a Cannon Barrage on turn 5 and dealt 15 to my Druid opponent. And I was sold. I was like, this deck is the best.
Yeah, he came back in my stream chat and he was like, Appa, Kingsbane Pirate Rogue is the truth. And I'm like, excuse me? What?
So yeah, I've just been having a lot of fun. I'm 6-0 with the deck so far. So I've seen a couple other people posting Kingsbane lists that are a little different. I'm very, very focused on the pirates in it, and a lot of these are kind of Kingsbane lists that have the good pirates in it. So basically raiding party is really good with Kingsbane, and been having a lot of fun with that.
Yeah, raiding party is just good in general because 3 mana draw 3 cards and you kind of know what they are is powerful. And we're going to be dealing with a good amount of Kingsbane, I think, over the next 3 or 4 months, which I have mixed feelings about. But hey, Rogue is good. It's fine.
I'm significantly more okay, I think, with an aggressive version of Kingsbane instead of the I'm setting up a position where I attack with Kingsbane and heal myself for 15 every turn until you eventually die. And I never mill out because Kingsbane.
It's the difference between Freeze Mage and Burn Mage, right? Burn Mage was a moment in time, a better deck, more streamlined, more aggressive, more focused, and Freeze Mage was just maximum infuriation. So, Kingsbane, when you play against the old style Kingsbane, where it's the Vanish deck, it's just you play a bunch of minions and you know they don't matter the second you play them. Against the Pirate deck, it definitely feels different. So, I agree that this is less offensive.
Now that you compared it to Burn Mage, I'm less happy about it because I still hate 1 mana worm. I still hate that card.
It's
Still
okay,
so
Botticus.
bad at it.
You can heal on turn 2 without any worries. Don't worry. As for me, life is early now. I get to sleep in tomorrow. I get to be up at 6:30 a.m. instead of the 5:30 for the past couple days. Very different. But I think this hopefully means saying it out loud because I finished editing the bonus episode today, like I promised. So if I say it out loud, I feel guilty and I have to do it. I'm going to try and start editing the show on Thursdays now instead of on Fridays because it'll be much earlier in the day. And I think that I can get it done. And I think that would be way better for you, the listener, and way better for my weekend, which is a thing that I have now. So, yeah, we'll see what happens there. And Hearthstone is super fun. I learned that I enjoyed Doomhammer Rockbiter, and I missed it a lot. I learned that when you play Zap into Bloodlust with a Thunderhead down, your opponent concedes. I learned that Spirit of the Shark, Spirit of the Frog, the Shaman totem, when you play 1-mana spells that are Zap, Lightning Bolt, Rockbiter Weapon on 2, Lava Burst on 3, you tend to draw like 4 or 5 cards, then your opponent dies. Learned a lot of things this week, mostly related to Shaman, and also I learned that 10-mana Death Knights are usually balance concerns. And we'll talk about that last one later, but it's been a good week. Hearthstone's fun for now. I have a little bit of fear about the best decks of this format having no cards from this set, but we'll see. We'll see what happens. Talk about it later. Life is okay. And life is actually extra good because Bemmie is here to join us, and we have a lot of tournament news to talk about. So Appa is going to interview our friend Bemmie, and we're going to get to know him a little bit before we dive into the news.
Yeah, so for those who don't know you, why don't you just tell us a little bit about yourself, like how you got into games in general, and then how you got into Hearthstone and esport casting from there.
Yeah. First of all, my name's Bemmie. I live right next door to Appa. Not really, just like really close by. But I got into gaming when I got my Game Boy and N64, and found gaming really really fun. And I was always competitive, but I didn't really get into physical sports. So I was always trying to find something different. And then like when I got older, I learned about gaming tournaments. I was like, what? This is so cool. And then later on, I evolved into esports, and I got really into that. And I never really started trying to put it all together until like a couple years ago after I graduated high school. And I started playing Overwatch. And then I was like, this is a lot more fun to commentate. So I got into that, and now I commentate Overwatch League's Open Division with Broadcast GG. Um, I work for WESG now. I commentate some other different games, and I also, after uh, during my high school life and stuff like that, I organized a lot of events for uh, breakdancing tournaments. So I got into event organizing from there, and then just switched it over to esports as well. And just now, pretty much my life is esports. And then I got into Hearthstone because I used to play Yu-Gi-Oh weekly at like this local card shop, and then I found somebody showed me Hearthstone, and I instantly fell in love with it because it just felt more me, just because of how crazy and tactical it is, just with like the amount of taking gambles with calculations, like a lot of guesstimates, and it's just like very fun.
Awesome. So what are some of the lessons you learned, like getting into casting and TOing for dance stuff or esports stuff? I feel like a lot of the skills probably transfer. So like what are some things that you wish you knew when you got into it that you know now? Like what are some things that you right now would tell past you?
Golly, I would probably tell past me to be okay with like not all events being a success, and just treating every single one like an experimentation, because all events, no matter what scale they are, they're always trying to find ways to improve on the event. So not one event will be the same like the other. They'll always just try to improve on it, and to just be okay with that. Because whenever I would change the system, or I would try to fix the format of something, I'd be like, "Oh God, I'm just going to make a lot of people upset," and I was just always afraid of just upsetting people. But it's like it's really in the long run, you should always be okay with like taking calculated risks with event organizing because you're trying to improve on the quality, and really it comes down to trying to make it more time efficient and just to be okay with that. And then I guess casting wise, uh, be okay with not be okay with taking gigs. Be more open to saying yes, and then also not being afraid of the word no is like super important in general. Because there will be things that you will apply for that you'll get a no to, and then later on you'll just like be doing a gig for another person and goes like, oh yeah, I know that person for that thing that you tried to apply for before. Do you want to try to do it? Yeah, absolutely. It's just, you always got to be, if it's doable, be open minded to trying out a different thing. That's why I get into so many different esports games as opposed to just staying with Hearthstone. As much as my Hearthstone is like my foundation, um, there's other games, and it helps me weave and connect into other things. Like casting for CS:GO got me the Hearthstone director of production for WESG. So like, you never know where you're gonna find the next gig.
Awesome. So we've heard a little bit about some of the projects you worked on, but like, just give us a rundown of all the stuff you've been involved with so far, like as an organizer or caster.
Um, for CS:GO, I've done City League, Toyota Masters. Those are some of the big ones. For Overwatch, I've casted for Dallas Fuel's Coach Jane's Community Cup, and I also casted for Open Division uh, of Overwatch League, and I'm going to be casting that for season 1 of 2019 next year as well. So I'm coming back to that, and then Hearthstone casting wise, I've casted for After Hour Gaming Leagues, which is a corporate company league that sort of has a TESPA format that has people like Facebook and Google and Dropbox playing in it, and I commentate for that as well for the Hearthstone League division of it, and then that's run by Eric and Day Nine. And then I also cast for some of the WESG, but I don't cast a lot of it because I wanted to give a lot of people opportunities to cast it. So I produce for WESG, and I'm the director for that as well. And then I also work with Vortex Entertainment, and then uh, I also produce events as well. So I run the Phoenix Cup, which is just sort of like an ESL Premiership grassroots scene for NA, and then a bunch of other cool events that I have lined up as well. I have House Rivalries, which is an esports organization league with an EU division and an NA division, and then I have a brand new thing that I'm going to be working with a very huge company in Canada as a contractor for them, which I'm very excited about. Which is probably going to be one of my biggest gigs I have yet, comparatively so to WESG.
That's awesome. Seems like you've gotten to do a lot of really interesting things with Hearthstone, and it seems like a really cool path that you've been able to take.
Yeah.
And then I think Hat wrote this down. Hat, did you write this next bullet point down?
I did. So you were on TV.
I was.
Yeah. So what's that like?
It was. I wasn't on like a set or anything. I did like a Skype interview, but it was super cool. It was basically for a show called Heads Up Daily, which is sort of like like a 30-minute or 15-minute show on Jinx TV in Canada, where they give you the latest esports news and information on stuff, and they cover all different kinds of games. And they've had huge people from all different things, all different games and walks of life. And I just happened to got a message from them saying like, "Hey, we saw that you were a commentator for Toyota Masters. You did the English coverage for it, and do you want to be a guest on our show?" And I was like, "Yeah, absolutely." So they invited me on, and it was a lot of fun. It's out there on the interwebs. I think I retweeted it like only last week. It was last week that this happened. It was really exciting and very humbling experience, and I was very, very thankful. And like, I made sure I did the basic like "hi mom" and stuff like that. But it was a lot of fun, and it's very interesting to be interviewed for commentating esports. Like I never expected with I decided to dedicate myself to esports entirely starting June, and I didn't expect to get there that far, and it feels really cool. And I made a lot of connections that hopefully will be able to be contributed towards Hearthstone and other CCG esports.
Yeah, I mean, it's such a nascent scene, and we think about. I think the most recent television coverage we've had is probably Overwatch League on TV, but even a Skype interview for commentating, it really just shows kind of how the gaming field has grown beyond just a niche.
It has.
Yeah.
It's super huge and amazing. And we also have E League as well. Recently, E League broadcasted. It was like a while back this past summer, but they broadcasted the Super Smash Brothers tournament that they had at the E3 press conference.
Oh, that's super cool. I wonder if they'll have another one for the new Smash that comes out, I guess, in 2 days.
Uh, Maybe. Who knows? There's a lot of stuff that's already being planned, and like, I'm all excited for everything. I'm just pumped for it, and yeah, I also have like so many stuff planned for the Hearthstone that are like a lot bigger that I'm
Yeah.
really excited about, and also just CCG as well.
So, but here's the question. We asked, what are you doing? And you just kept talking for a while because you're doing a lot of things. What's the time commitment for this kind of career that you're making for yourself, for this kind of opportunity? How much do you spend not only just doing it, but prepping and organizing and administering and dealing with this kind of life? How does it compare to a job?
Um, a lot of people think with this kind of job, you don't make you make your own hours. You don't. Esports makes the hours for you. So there's some times where I've actually, my first week of WESG, I did not sleep for 3 days. That
Ooh,
was it was a lot of work, but it was a lot of fun and a lot of production. But with this kind of stuff, it's like basically it takes a lot of time. Fortunately for me, or I guess my personal situation, I don't get to leave the house much. So I also have a very cool, supportive family that was like not a lot of parents encourage their kid to pursue their dream in esports, but my parents did. So they've been super supportive and kind to let me pursue that. And it takes it doesn't take a lot of there is sacrifices, but it's just like basically it's a lot of fun, but it does take a lot of time, and you need to have in the sense of like you need to save up to dedicate a year to traveling to around the world or whatever. Like people say that like save up if you want to travel. It's the most ideal thing. It's kind of the same thing with esports or just like a job like this is like I saved up a bit and now I have enough to support me while I'm still trying to work out and find a full-time career in esports. So this has sort of allowed me to just live on a gig economy and start saving up more.
that makes sense. It's kind of the this is it's fun, but it's a lot of effort, and it's meant to be positive value in terms of exposure more than finances. Sounds like.
Um, no, you can still get finances. I think starting out is more exposure. You got to start working for free before you start working for payment, which is what I did. And just be open-minded and okay with the word no because not
Yeah.
everybody wants to just work with that. But yeah, I'm sounding like a broken record here.
No, it's totally okay. I think we're all just kind of curious about having someone that's a professional esports personality getting involved in that. We kind of saw that happen with Cora over time, but now we're seeing you kind of in the midst of it and building your own brand as well. And it's pretty cool to have you on.
Oh,
Uh,
it's such an honor. I love Concede, and I think it's the cool. I love this podcast. This is one of my favorite podcasts of all time.
Thanks, man. Glad to have you. And
That's
Yeah.
really nice.
yeah, so and Bot, I think you got the next question.
Yeah, I was just going to ask. I mean, it seems like you've, over the course of this interview, you've kind of already answered this question. Like, but kind of is there anything else that you would have to add for people who might be looking to get into casting or commentary? I know you said be ready to hear the word no a lot. Plan for it and make sure you're going to be able to devote the time to it. Is there any other suggestions you might have for people that are kind of just starting out, maybe looking to get into it?
Yes, absolutely. Which is no pun intended, but wear multiple hats. Seriously, there is some things where I was taught by this by uh, sort of a boss and mentor from Broadcast GG, Mushu Beef, which is that sometimes you just gotta fill in the holes while everybody's trying to go for the big shiny thing. Everybody wants to be a caster. Everybody wants to do, everybody wants to go for the shiny thing. Everybody wants to be on that on camera talent. Sometimes you got to go for the behind the scenes stuff, which is why I took up production, a bunch of other things, because a lot of the things I wanted to cast, they already had too many casters for it, but they were limited on production or analyst or a host or somebody who would just round up the players and coordinate. You got to be willing to just like tournament admin, produce, cast, analyze, just anything that you can just help out with. And then at some point, your time will come where they go like, "Hey, we don't have X person showing up at this time, could you please stand in? We know you've been very reliable and helpful with us." And that's how a lot of the times I've been able to get on some on camera talent, and also giving up some on camera talent for other people. And then just being the producer, it's basically doing favors for people, which in return, you're just building a stronger network. And being able to network and socialize is so important. It's like the number one thing in esports. You just make as many friends as you can and be as tolerable as you can be.
Yeah, I think that's it's all really good suggestions. I think that's often overlooked by a lot of people. Like you said, everybody's kind of trying to chase the limelight and expecting to, put in some time and then get in front of the camera and kind of show what they have. But it definitely seems like if you can be useful outside of just that position, it doesn't always seem like the production team is just overflowing with people in every position. So if you're able to help out in other aspects, I could definitely see that as a big reason why people would want you to be part of the casting team instead of just on the caster desk.
Pretty much, absolutely. And and once again, just in the way of treat people the way you want to be treated, make sure you're somebody that you want to work with.
Probably not better advice than that. So, thank you very much, Bemmie, for your time. And hey, come along with us to the podcast because this is the end of the interview section, but I think there will be some opinions in
Oh
the
yeah.
news section, which is coming up right now.
So just recently, we were talking in the news section about how we had not heard anything about HCT changes for the year 2019. Everybody was getting a little antsy, especially last week when there was a tournament coming up, and we didn't know how it was going to count or what was happening with points and everything. And this week, we finally got the answers to a lot of the questions we had about 2019. So Hearthstone posted a article called Hearthstone Esports Next Big Turn. So the HCT will be going out with a bang, coming up with the World Championships pretty soon. I believe they still have to get 4 more players. 4 more players need to try to earn their spot at the. Are they calling the next one? I assume they're calling the next one the Winter Playoffs. But
Yes.
yeah, so that'll be capping off with a prize of more than $4 million across. Oh, sorry, no, that's different. But anyway, next year, next season, we're going to be moving to a 3-tiered system which will consist of online qualifiers and which will lead into live global tournaments and an exclusive top tier of tournaments with more than $4 million of prizing. And basically, what this tells us, it sounds like no more ladder, which was something a lot of people were hoping for, expecting, all of the above. It's pretty big move for them. And then
So
it
just
says,
to clarify, ladder's still here. It just does not award HCT points.
Just a cool
yes.
card
Yeah.
back.
Well, HCT no longer exists. So it no longer awards. Playing ladder doesn't make you make money. Ladder no longer connects eventually to money.
Right.
Cool.
So the next part is so basically the online tournaments are going to be dealt, or Hearthstone is going to be putting on these online tournaments in conjunction with other third-party platforms, and they will not be region locked. Anybody from anywhere will be able to compete at times that work for them, and then winning the qualifier grants you entry into the next tier of the live events. They will also be holding 3 invite-only tournaments throughout the year around the world, and even more in 2020. Basically, these are going to be anywhere from people like household names, which makes it sound like potentially streamers, as well as I'm sure mostly hot top performing pros, as well as some potentially new aspiring pros that do well in their first tournament. Uh, these events will be they'll be competing for 25 or $250,000 per event, and then doing well in those are going to lead you to kind of the equivalent of the the championship, kind of the highest tier. And then the top tier is going to be seasonal round robin online competition split into regional divisions featuring best, most compelling Hearthstone players in the world. And it will begin after the World Championship this year, et cetera, et cetera. Oh, let's see. Players who participate in this competition receive performance-based bonuses as well as automatic invites to all of the live global events of the previous tier. More info to come.
Okay, so before we go into the next giant change, we can talk about these 3 giant changes real quick. Just so I'm clear, when Hearthstone Esports says they'll run hundreds of qualifier tournaments primarily online, they won't be region locked. But are they on a specific server? Because if I'm not region locked from playing on the Asia server, but I don't have any cards on the Asia server, what do I do? I'm glad that none of you have the answer either. That means that this is a question.
Well, from my information that I have gathered, or from hypotheses, is that these will be more time zone based and server specific. Yes, but they will. Anybody can enter them. So it means basically, if you can afford the cards for that server, you can enter them.
Okay.
So like what they have been doing for Challenger Cups is
Yeah, it's
you can't play in a different server's Challenger Cup, I think, and get an invite to that server's playoff, if that makes sense. So like you were region locked in that aspect, but you're not server locked. So if you have the cards on Asia and there's an Asia tournament running at like 2 a.m. or something, like you can enter that if you have the cards, I think is what's going to be happening.
Okay. So it makes sense, but they haven't announced anything for cross-platform card ownership, which is really unlikely for them to ever do, because why would they ever do that? So okay, that's interesting. Otherwise, yeah, I think there's a lot to dive into here. We'll save it for the analysis section, but I just wanted to clarify that point real quick before we go to the next giant, enormous, crazy change.
All right. So, yeah, probably the biggest news is that they will be retiring Conquest from Hearthstone tournaments as of 2019. And Appa gives the big double fist bump. They want Hearthstone Esports to better reflect the in-game experience, which is, to me, a scary statement, as well as easier to grasp for viewers, and the new format will be unveiled soon.
And that last sentence will be played across the ecosystem.
Yeah.
That's a really interesting sentence, too. Because what be played across the ecosystem could mean all sorts of things. So
I don't even know where to start because I'm first of all am a fan retiring Conquest. I understand people did not like the format. It did not seem like the best version of the format. However, what they the new format that they go to is very important because to me it based on the rumors I've heard, uh, I am significantly less excited about a any format that involves single deck or a single class.
So I'm not putting any stock in these rumors at all. I haven't heard any sources cited. I've just heard people saying, "Oh, it's reflecting the in-game experience. It must be a single deck." Like that's just not actually the case. It could be. That is one hypothesis, but I'm not putting any stock in that. So I'm just glad Conquest is going. I'm glad Ladder is going, and whatever else they bring in will probably be better. Because even a single deck environment, if that were to be the case, would flush itself out and create an interesting and dynamic meta anyways, regardless of what people will tell you. Because if we had a single deck system right now, I think the meta would be amazing, honestly. For
Really?
like a tournament format, yes. With like a sideboard system, if that were to be the case, I think the meta would be fantastic. Because you would have just deck experts of each class going at it, and then just people trying to level each other. It's just like I mean, Magic makes interesting metas like this all the time, even with strong decks. Some of the best Magic metas I've played in have all had really, really good decks, and tournaments have been won by like either in introducing interesting tech cards or picking the right deck at the right time, and or just being a master of a deck. So I think if that were to be the case, I think it's getting far more hate than it should. I think it would be a really interesting format to play in. It would be foreign to Hearthstone players uh, as a whole, but I think in the long run that would end up being good.
Hmm. That's sort of the interesting thing though is about Hearthstone, like you said, is just how foreign it would be because Hearthstone is one of the few CCG games that actually recognizes itself as a video game as well. There's aspects of it where you couldn't necessarily get in in actual physical card format. So it's interesting. While the one deck thing is, I 100% agree with you, Appa, would be very interesting with the sideboard. I think depending on the amount of sideboard and what class it would be, it does depend on that. It could be interesting. All we know for a fact right now is that it's 100% best of five still. But how will they do the best of five?
I
Is my
don't think we
question.
know that.
I thought I saw a tweet somewhere about that from somebody.
Maybe.
One of the officials, the casters. That's something I'm like aware of that I picked up information on.
So if it is still best of 5, that's I mean, I haven't seen that officially announced anywhere. If that is true, then that gives me a little bit more hope, but it's we're I think the thing that I want to react to most here is how little information we got. Because here's the thing, and this is the next bullet point here. The Hearthstone Masters was a program that lasted less than a year, meant to reward players for top performance over time with rewards over time. Instead, they get cash prizes and a Masters tournament that was circulated in an email that we found about through a Frodan tweet. That is a monthly Masters Cup for there are 4 of them, December, January, February, March, because that's the remainder of the time that people will still be masters while this program exists. And it creates some weirdness with when they announced it, because you can get points towards masters through the season that we didn't know existed this time last week. Because the HCT Season 2 ended November 30th. This article was released November 29th, because DreamHack Winter was November 30th. And they announced a season that had not been previously indicated was going to count towards point totals the day before it started. And there are 2 tournaments, HCT Philly and DreamHack Winter, that counted even though the official Hearthstone Esports Twitter said that they wouldn't. So, we're looking at a last-minute announcement here that had to be made because a tournament was the next day, and players had to know what that tournament was going to mean. Which means we got just the announcement of the announcement with enough information that we could make some decisions, but not enough advance notice to make decisions about the 2 tournaments that would qualify some players for Masters. Feno actually got the worst of it because he made plans to do other stuff instead of going to DreamHack Winter and ACT Philly, and found out the day before the tournament that he could have gotten points and been a 3-star master, and instead wasn't going to be in Sweden and couldn't go.
That super feels bad.
Yeah.
That is super brutal, especially because from his point of view, he's been grinding all year. He's been going so hard and he's doing super well at everything. And then he assumes that these tournaments are not going to be worth anything. And essentially it doesn't necessarily flush all the work he did down, but he would have definitely, if he had he known, he definitely would have been willing to go to this tournament to really try to lock up the 3-star master, and made all of that other work he did all year count for so much more. It's just super brutal to
It's not that he
hear
assumed.
that happened to him.
It's not that he assumed either. It's that he was told they wouldn't count.
Yeah.
That, like, the Hearthstone Esports Twitter said this won't count towards your Masters. And then the day before they said,
sounds like they
yes, it
sounds
will.
like they were under the impression that it wouldn't count either. And then whatever happened, they found out later or what, but it doesn't matter. It's a really crappy situation for him.
Yeah. I don't know. Bemmie, you're a tournament person. Walk me through
I
your
am a tournament
feelings
person.
on the complete change of the Hearthstone tournament structure, and then we've got these open cups, no ladder. We've got invite-only tournaments that may or may not feature streamers. We've got a season-long league, and we've got a new format that we don't know what it is. Feelings. Give me feelings.
Originally not knowing anything, starting out, I was in the pit of my stomach, thinking that this was going to be Judgment Day for Hearthstone. A lot of people, when I saw the announcement, were sort of like, a lot of people felt like Hearthstone was saying, like, in order to save all of civilization, we have to sacrifice half of civilization. But it's really not the case of that. It's just a lot of people were genuinely bothered by the fact that there's no HCT stops anymore and whatnot, even though they weren't getting a lot of revenue from that, which is understandable. And I think, honestly, I welcome this with open arms. Do we have all the information? Do we have all the pieces of the puzzle? No. And has this been addressed in the best way? Not necessarily, but I don't think it was the worst way. I think it could have been a lot worse. I think they could have just completely said nothing at all, and that would have been actually worse. But the fact that they actually wanted to address this, and they actually brought in the idea of actually changing up the format and bringing in something new that's a little more, believe it or not, more cost efficient and player friendly format that doesn't require too much grinding, if you will, or just enough experience that you want without going too far. I think really welcomes it. I think the online qualifiers with different time zones, specific regions, is absolutely fine. For people like me that just work at home all the time, or just other people that can't continuously stay on the grind with ladder and keep up with the certain metas and how it frequently changes almost every 10 minutes of like what to play with, is, I think, honestly welcoming. A tournament approach versus ladder, we all know, is very different. So this is just very big, and I think this is going. Do I know everything 100%? No, I don't know everything, but I do know. I do feel that this is going to save Hearthstone, where people, believe it or not, we're going to lose a lot of people probably in the process, but I think this is a necessary change that is going to make Hearthstone better in the long run and more accessible for players. The new conquest, The master system, I don't, or the new format, I don't know. I welcome one deck, best of 3 or best of 5. I welcome anything different. The conquest is done. It's dried up. It's been done as long as it could. And then on top of that, also the masters system. I got mixed feelings about it just from the standpoint of like I think invitational only is kind of cool, based off of people earning stuff. But with the new format coming up for masters and just sort of, it feels a lot like, you guys know Seat Story, right?
Yes.
It feels a
Yes.
lot like that. It just in the sense of just like bring influential Hearthstone people, whether that's top players like Muzzy and Just Saying, or just influential streamers like Crip and Toast, just for example, and just bringing them into a tournament format and whatnot. It's kind of weird. I don't know if they're going to take any influence from Seed Story, because like if you looked at back at Worlds, they do acknowledge the event. They do actually mark it as a accomplishment for making it to top 8 or whatever. But as far as like the actual system itself, I think any more way of making players get revenue is great. But I don't really know how to feel about it as a whole. And then we still need to figure out what is going on with the Team Hearthstone League that has been circulating about, because there's like, we saw those very vague tweaks from Philadelphia Fusion that's happening. There's a lot of things that we just don't know. It answered a lot of questions and raised a lot more. So at the moment, I'm very half glass full overall. Just to summarize that.
Okay, that makes sense. And yeah, I agree though. It's hard to draw really concrete conclusions. Appa, you've been a noted Hearthstone professional for multiple esports organizations. As a tournament player who, like most human beings, despise the ladder grind, what do you think about all this stuff?
This is about the best possible news for me. I love tournaments so much, and I've long preached on the podcast that tournaments require a similar but much different skill set, which is kind of weird. Like, it's similar in that you play Hearthstone and you play the game like you do on ladder, but the skill set of building a lineup and making meta reads going into a tournament, figuring out the best tech, and then what order you queue, and then the list goes on, just of tournaments, is so much different from ladder. And before I started playing tournaments, I played a lot more ladder. I was usually like around top 500 legend, just like playing in my bed watching TV. And then I found open cups. I discovered those, and I was like, oh, this is way much better. Ladder's terrible. I hate this. But yeah, so it's time for Appa opinion hour real quick. So I have some thoughts on the dissent that I've been seeing a little bit on Twitter. And I've been seeing it from two types of people about ladder not rewarding points anymore. And the first group of people is or are the first group of people, is that is or are? The English major in me is
R.
Yeah,
the
groups
first group of
are.
people are.
Yeah, a group
Okay,
is
so
and groups are.
okay.
Hey
The
Appa.
the
Hey
first
Appa.
what? What's
Do
up?
you know what a pirate's favorite letter is?
Is it R?
No, his first love be the sea.
I'm proud of you.
Thank you. I'm proud of me too.
We never are.
We never see.
That's right. We don't see
Ah,
you. We just see a
I'm
spinning loading wheel.
gonna X that out.
I'm gonna change the episode title. You can keep talking. Podcast is
Okay.
just
Anyways,
for
so the
video
first
listeners.
collective
Yeah.
of people that I see this dissent from would be players that consistently just spend most of their day doing nothing but playing ladder, and usually post top 25 rank 1 legend tweets like once, twice a week, something like that. But then when they go to playoffs, completely bomb out And there's a reason for that. It's because they have not developed the tournament skills that are necessary to compete at the competitive level. Because grinding ladder and tournaments are not the same. And if you grind ladder all the time and you're just a ladder god, and then you like don't know how to play in tournaments, then like why is ladder rewarding invites to tournaments? Because you're just not playing the same game there. Like you are playing Hearthstone, but you're not. It's so different that I've been against points from ladder for just so long because of this reason. There's so many ladder grinders that just qualify via points just because they play the game a ton and then go to tournaments and scrub out. And that's always bothered me, that there has always been a heavier emphasis on just mindlessly grinding a ladder with a deck that you're good with, if you can keep up a 60-ish% win rate, than like actually trying to play in tournaments. The route to get to the tournaments by actually playing in tournaments was so much harder than just playing ladder. And I think that's unacceptable, and I'm so glad ladder went away. And the second group of people, hold on real quick, I had a sniffle, sorry. So the second group of people is something that I've actually seen far more frequently, and that would be people. I'm not going to say complaining because I think that's too negative, but voicing dissent against this are people that claim that ladder takes less time and is easier to work around than tournaments. And I'm here to tell you that's BS. The first reason that's BS, getting to like top 25 legend and getting reasonable finishes every season to get you to a tournament is an obscene amount of time in a month. It's probably 100+ hours for a reasonable player. Unless you're one of the best players in the world, you're going to be spending a disgusting amount of your month grinding ladder to get there. So I guarantee you most of these people that are saying this, saying that they're not going to have time now, like you didn't have time before, or else you were going to be high enough legend to get to the tournaments. So I don't see the time issue. And then the working around it, like finding time around this. So here's my issue with that one. So if you can't reasonably find time to play in a tournament, in a qualifier, how are you going to find time to go and travel to the tournaments themselves? Like if you're not, if you're either not able to do that to get to the tournaments, then you're not going to be a tournament player. Like you're just playing Hearthstone for fun, and that's fine. But don't complain about the system if you're not able to find time for that. And then like if you were able to find time and you just like, hold on, losing my train of thought here. Oppa's going off the rails. So
You got this.
yeah, so if you're claiming that you can't work around time, and then like you can't like play in the qualifier tournaments, like how are you gonna have the time to like put in that much time to ladder? It's either you had the time and you're either not good enough, or you're just lying to yourself about being a competitor or something, or you don't care enough to find the time to do it. And that's fine. That's not what a competitor is. Like you can play the game for fun, but unless you like take action to get there, like you're just lying to yourself. And I really hate seeing the argument that I'm not going to have time for this now, when I haven't seen pretty much any of these people saying this with like reasonable consistent top like 50 finishes. So I really hate the time argument. And then the ladder argument, like ladder grinders, I already went over that. I think if your competitive structure is going to be a tournament, you should compete in tournaments to get there. So that's my 50 cents.
Amen.
It's way more than two.
It's about $1.50, buddy.
That's it makes sense. It's a pun. I said that for the pun. So my response here, there are a few things. I'm going to start with questions. First of all, Why didn't this article come out sooner? I know the answer is because it's not finished, but why wasn't it finished sooner so that players could get plane tickets and get the things they deserve? Second, why don't you know the format yet? If you do, why aren't you telling us? Third of all, in conjunction with a third-party platform partner is what this article says about running the online Open Cups. That sends a pretty clear message that tournament mode is not a thing. So if tournament mode is not a thing, will whatever new format, which is quote-unquote will be played across the ecosystem, will that be supported in client? Because sideboarding, by making 7 copies of your single deck with 1 card differences, sounds like a punishment that someone would do to you if you did something bad. Okay, invite-only tournaments. Who's going? Because winning a qualifier grants you entry to the next year of competition, so I'm doing some math here. Hundreds of qualifier tournaments, 3 invite-only tournaments. Hundreds, 3.
Oh yeah, I completely forgot about talk about the tournament structure too. If you don't mind me
Go
jumping
ahead, go ahead.
on this point.
If
with
you have answers, I'd love it, because I only have questions.
Oh, I don't have any answers. I just have a perspective on this. This reminds me a lot of how Magic used to run stuff, or I think they went back to it. I'm not sure.
PTQs?
Yeah, like you would have the Pro Tour qualifier, which was the open tournament that anybody could play in who wasn't a pro, and then people who won that got an invite to the Pro Tour, which were and are multiple times a year, and they are invite only tournaments, and they were invite only for the people who won the qualifiers, and then some people that Wizards themselves, the people who run Magic and make the game, that deemed would be either interesting or deserve to be there or something like that. So this reminds me a lot of the PTQ and Pro Tour system, just from what I've seen.
Yeah.
And I mean that worked for Magic for a really long time, so I'm optimistic about that. So I think that would make sense if just the qualifiers led into the invite only system. So I think the invite only might be being read into a little too much, but again, it's just purely speculation. But that's kind of my take on that. And I think with that, I have ended my thoughts on the article. So
Yeah.
I'll give you the mic back, Hat.
Bemmie, you had something.
Yeah, I just wanted to throw in potential answers. They're not fully constructed, but basically, your question about why this hasn't been confirmed as a format, and/or why is it so close to so many major events in Hearthstone? Why they haven't announced the new structure yet? I think partly is because to throw a little bit of I guess sort of a level of understanding to the Hearthstone team is that the Hearthstone team and the esports team for Hearthstone uh don't really entirely have the final says. They have to check with their superiors to make sure that they're okay with the format. And I think really at this moment, um Blizzard has been so heavily engrossed and invested with BlizzCon and also Overwatch League, which is kind of like their big project that they're investing in. They have 8 new franchises going into this as well, and they went through dramatic cuts of financial stuff across the entire esports ecosystem of Blizzard. That I think maybe that this was not necessarily an afterthought, but was very lower on their priority list compared to other things that they were doing. That potentially that this was something that Hearthstone Esports was trying to push these new systems, promote these, propose these ideas and get the approval for them, but wasn't going to get them in the nick of time. So this may be just going to their, superiors and going like, hey, X, Y, and Z events are happening very, very soon. Can we at least announce this at the very least? And that may be something that's happening right now within the works of Blizzard while they're trying to go through this awkward growth phase of becoming a bigger, more esports focused type of organization, especially with the amount of investment that they had. They played all their cards close to their chest for Owl, and now they're trying to deal and figure out stuff as well while going through a bunch of cuts.
So I think you alluded to what I think is happening, but not in the way you think you did. So I agree with Appa that this is definitely a Pro Tour style setup, assuming these invite-only tournaments are enormous, right? Assuming you win a qualifier, play in this thing, and then if you're special, you get into the online league. And the new format, we don't know if it'll be supported in client or what it is. I'm hoping it's supported in client because that seems really, really important. I think the timing was poor, but so I'm going to transition to my hypothesis. And there was an amazing article that was written about Magic the Gathering. It was written yesterday, called An Open Letter to Cedric, Phillips, Jerry Thompson, and the Pro Magic Community at Large, talking about how Wizards of the Coast is de-emphasizing the pro scene of Magic the Gathering. It's a long article, it's a great article, and even if you're not a Magic player, I recommend that you read it because I think it mirrors what's happening in Hearthstone right now. And just to give you the really, really high notes, Magic, about 15 years ago or so, was built on being hyper-competitive. As in, there were trading cards of Magic the Gathering pros in your packs. And here's a description in September 2005 how the game was being described by its creative lead. Magic is a head-to-head battle of wits in which two spellcasting warriors fight to the death with magic and armies of badass creatures. Every card illustration should work in that context. Active, aggressive, cool, wicked, edgy. The word mage punk works for us. Remember, your audience is boys 14 and up. This was Magic 13 years ago. And the game was designed for pros by pros. But Wizards ran into a problem that Mark Rosewater called disappearing players, called the Invisibles. And the Invisibles, what that actually means, is people that don't want to be a Magic pro and or women. People that aren't boys. Because games are fun, and millions upon millions of people play games because they're fun. And they compete in their own way, or they play casually, they play to hang out with their friends. And the pro player focus, well, you want that, you get Gwent. You get Artifact. You get these games that are built by pros for pros that have a niche audience that love it. The games are so fiddly and so decision-focused that they're hard to watch, and new players lose a lot when they come in and play because when you play worse in those games, you lose more. And so Magic moved away from that philosophy. They've got MTG Arena, they've got new design, different plot lines, different characters, better merchandising. It's a very, very different experience. And I think that's what Hearthstone is doing. We look at what I've talked about this past year since the In the Works article about Hearthstone de-emphasizing the competitive aspect of grinding, of playing more for a small incremental advantage, of playing the game for the sake of getting just to the next plateau and keep pushing and pushing and pushing. No, play for a smaller amount of time. Earn what you want to earn on your terms, but for there to be kind of almost limited accomplishments by design within the client. It's not going to say there's limited accomplishments in the tournament scene either. But online qualifiers probably not cast. 3 per year invite-only tournaments almost certainly cast. Seasonal round-robin online competition almost certainly cast. With a simplified format, this is Hearthstone's pivoting to being a game focused on streamers and streaming and content creation and getting eyeballs on the game, and then players seeing something and being able to replicate it in their client. This is Hearthstone's push for viewership accessibility, because you know what? A pro-focused game with high levels of competition, with low quality of life, that game doesn't make money. Your pro scene doesn't earn you anything there, except a small group of super invested players and a slightly large group of players who are engaged with the super competitive tournament scene. But you know what? If you're listening to this podcast, you're already invested. If you care about the Hearthstone competitive scene enough to listen to a 2-hour plus podcast because we don't shut up, you are already invested. If you go on Beerbrick or Hearthstone Top Decks to look up Decklists, you're invested. So, if you are that invested, then you're not the target here. And if you were upset by how things were, it's because you were in the minority and we are in the minority. And I think this is Hearthstone's pivot to catch the majority, to be simpler to play and understand, to be simpler to capture, simpler to engage with. And I think this is part of Hearthstone's greater structure completely changing within the past. Well, we've seen the announcements in the past few months, but it's been going on for a lot longer than that.
Yeah, and I think backing up your statement as well, or just adding on to it, for food for thought, hat is that also that's kind of just also spreading out towards potentially other Blizzard esports as well. I mean, if you look at the way Owl is, just sort of referencing that, because that's kind of like sort of I feel like where the ripple effect is starting for Blizzard esports is that they're trying to be a gateway into esports. So making the format more approachable for new coming players, accessible as well. I mean, they have different tiers. They also try to make it appealing in a more pop culture fashion, if you will. Like they did, there's esports organizations that we know, like Cloud9, NRG, and Immortals, and those are some people that have esports organization, but they're not allowed to enter those leagues as their own. They're supposed to rebrand themselves altogether, so they have a second brand with this. So I think this is just something also that may be happening with Hearthstone esports as well, because still, again, team league thing happening as well. It's been if you look at the viewership between 1v1 to HGG had a very consistent viewer rate because it's really interesting to see Team Hearthstone, I think. So there may be a focus on that as well.
Yeah, and I think there's a lot of opportunity there of seeing groups of people play together because the team standings weren't used for anything this year. The only remaining question I have that I think we are almost certainly not going to get an answer unless something really crazy happens is Blizzard. So ladder doesn't get us anywhere now. We know we're not going to have tournament mode because you talked about third party. What am I going to do in the client? What am I going to do? That is the question. Well, that's what I have, but where's it going, right? And so Blizzard is making it very clear through all of this that there's open qualifiers and there's standard ladder for fun and to achieve a personal best. And so the game is not being designed in a way, unless there's a new format being added, of having endless replayability unless they're putting out new cards. Fine, totally okay, but it feels like another thing that's being taken away from anyone that ever attempted to make the legend push. And so now it just feels like there's kind of a void. And I hope there's more to do at some point.
What do you mean it's taken away from anybody? Trying to
So,
make a legend push.
If you hit legend, and then you wanted to get higher up, you can still do that, but it's the competition's kind of artificially deflated because the value of spending that time to get there, again, it's only internal. And a lot of players just have no reason to ever play ladder if they're practicing their tournament chops because, like you said, it's a different skill set, right? If you want to win tournaments, you got to practice tournaments. You're gonna play tournament style. You're gonna play open cups, but ladder is almost valueless to the tournament players. So before I could say how close to number one can I get, and now that game doesn't even feel worth it anymore. So what do I do with that time after I hit legend? Now what, or why hit legend? That is the question.
It seems like they're trying to focus on some arena stuff as well. From what I've heard from some different people, they're working on focusing on arena more and making it a little more healthy, more interesting. So it seems like maybe a potential answer to that question of now what might be to play arena if they make it a little different or make it more interesting, because I like the format. I just find it very samey a lot of the time, as weird as that sounds, because it's arena and it's a bunch of random cards that you pick. But I feel like I play against the same powerhouse arena cards all the time. So if they could either introduce something new or kind of tinker with arena a little bit, I'd be more inclined to do that after I hit legend.
Yeah, I mean, I hope they add a button or give me something else to do. Botticus, what do you think?
So we've already gone pretty long in the tooth on this whole section, but I'll try to be brief. While these changes are great for Appa, they are basically the opposite for me. Uh, but one thing I'm trying to do, which is just kind of a general life thing, is I feel like a lot of people look at changes or look at something and they look specifically at how it's going to affect them and color their opinion significantly about how it affects them and their lives. For me, the change to ladder not rewarding points is not good for me specifically because if I was going to qualify for these tournaments, that's how I was going to do it. Um, and at the same time, I recognize that I think that removing ladder, as I completely agree with Appa, that I think it's good because when you're trying to qualify for a tournament, you should probably be playing the tournament style. So, um, basically, all I'm trying to say is that I was already kind of on my way out of trying to do competitive Hearthstone because at the start of this year, I kind of went in guns a blazing and was hitting ladder really hard, and I got a couple decent finishes. But looking into the next year, based on the changes, it doesn't look like it's going to be something I'm interested in. However, I think it is a good direction that Hearthstone is going. So for the people that are going to be focused on tournaments, I think this is good, and I think that's kind of what they should be doing. So I approve of those changes. Um, the only thing I am worried about is the single deck format. Um, for me personally, uh, I do not watch a lot of tournaments. But the thing I enjoy most about Hearthstone that it does, I think, better than any other card game is the variability of seeing the different decks. I like seeing players who are very skilled at. I enjoy watching people who are very skilled at tournaments and are very good at playing a series of different decks. I appreciate when people are rewarded for having a wide variety of knowledge of a different decks instead of just being able to play one deck really well. But that is just my opinion, and I trust that whatever the new format is, um, that I'll give it a shot. But personally, really would I am really fearful of any format where a deck like Raza Priest is in the format, and if it's single deck and you're just watching Raza Priest mirrors all day, even with sideboards, I would not look forward to watching a tournament like that at all. That's just how I would look at it. It could end up being way better than that, but it's mainly the idea of having to watch of the theoretical possibility that there is a ton of mirrors being played. I think could be very detrimental to the viewership of a theoretical Hearthstone tournament that is single deck. That's what I'm worried about. Whereas the the way it's currently done, even if they have a different format that is not Conquest, I just really like. I don't know, the idea behind multi deck is just very appealing to me. Um, and so I kind of hope that that's still what it is. But if single deck ends up being the way they go and it's popular, then I think great. You know, overall, I think these changes are good for the overall health of Hearthstone and are really bad for my involvement in competitive Hearthstone. It's kind of my stance.
And Bodicus, what else is there for the news, buddy?
The last piece of news is patch 13.0 is out, which means Rastakhan Rumble is here. There's not a whole lot of changes, but there's some new card
Yay.
backs you can check out. There's some interesting thing about a potential way to earn 2 golden classic packs, but we don't really know how to do that yet. And then the link we have in the show notes shows all of the flavor texts for all of the cards, which I'm sure Hat gets to enjoy because there's always a good pun or two in there, and a couple other official patch notes, of which the most notable thing is that now when choosing a transform minion, the card is now going to show what the card can become. So like Spell Shifter, Druid of the Claw, Druid of the Flame, Druid of the Saber, Druid of the Scythe, and Druid of the Swarm. So I think that's when you mouse over it. I assume that means that you're going to be able to see what the different minions are instead of just having to kind of guess or whatever. Not guess, but know what it's going to become.
Just love
Yeah,
how we went through heavy esports news, and now patch 13 is out, y'all.
Yep, that's it. Apparently, there's a pizza card back.
Pizza. Also, I think the biggest
I want it.
news, I think, is if you've hit rank 15 ever, you can't ever go below rank 20. That seems
Oh,
like big news.
That's pretty big.
Yeah.
Yeah, that's insane for the new player experience. That's awesome.
That's kind of just what we were talking about too, right? Or not just talking about, but a while ago when we were getting into how this affected that glut of players around that area where they were playing so much and feeling like they either kept falling farther back or could never really make any headway. This is pretty big for them, right?
The fewest possible ways for the feeling a new player gets when an all golden zoo deck just whooshes past them on the way to legend, the better. That feeling needs to go away from the game, and however you can stop it, please stop it. Because whenever you coach someone,
or like whenever I was on Asia and I hadn't played for months, and I crafted Shutterwalk and then played against a hunter with Stormwind champion in their deck, and I said, you know what? I can't do this to this poor man, and then I conceded. But I'm sure most people don't do that.
Because you were the baddie. You were the bad guy.
So I'm glad that's not going to happen anymore.
Yeah, it's whatever anything Blizzard can do to minimize that feeling of being a speed bump needs to happen. Because being a speed bump feels crappy. You get driven over all the time, and nobody likes you because they have to slow down. Don't make me a speed bump, Blizzard. Don't want that. That's what speed bumps do.
Don't make me a speed bump. Ridiculous hat.
Let's make that.
I need a T-shirt with that on it.
That's the episode title. All right, we're doing it.
That is a great episode title. Don't make me a speed bump.
All right.
Went from fish that are really big to a pirate's favorite vowel, now to this. It's great.
All right, and that's the show notes. And now that we're about an hour and 25 minutes in, let's go into the tournaments.
I'm cranking up the pace. We're going.
It's the grand tournament.
All right, the tournament section is only 4 pages in the show notes, so it's going to be quick. Don't you worry. We're going to talk about the end of the Boomsday meta, because DreamHack Winter, the tournament we just made a big deal about, did happen. Burrow took it over Pardo with Boston and Faley 3rd and 4th. Toastmonster, Erikash,
My
Dawido.
teammate.
Which one?
Burrow won. My teammate.
Woo! Go, Bemmie's friend. Teammate, what's your team? Tell me your team.
I'm a streamer for Royal Blue now.
Royal Blue! Go Royal Blue. Go Burrow. So, Boston Faley 3rd and 4th. Toastmonster, Erikash, Dawido, and Tyler top 8. That was the last Boomsday tournament. Now, the TESPA Regional 32 team cut did also complete last weekend. The top 16 cut is this weekend. They start playing with new cards now. They were playing with the end of the Boomsday cards then. This weekend will be cast. The week after is what we're going to be talking about in the show. The top 8 and the finals will be on December 15th. Now, also, the Inn-vitational was today. the day we're recording, Wednesday the 5th, in the middle of the day, right after the set came out. Funky tournament just like last expansion. Invite some people, play a bunch of fun meme decks, and it's a best of 5, no ban format, and everyone very clearly was given some kind of instruction to play something fun and interesting and new. It's 4 players from Americas and Europe and 4 players from Asia, 2 from the China region, 2 from the Asia server. So East versus West. We've got Ali Straza, Dita Honing, Samuel Sao, Sintalal, Aka Wonder, Blood Trail, Rhdgurwns, and Dog. 4 different show matches, not really any point keeping here, and it was a really fun tournament to watch. Korra, Admirable, and Frodin all casted. They were all dressed up and like face painted to be like a Loa. It was cool. So the end of the Boomsday meta, we're not going to spend a ton of time on this because you literally can't play it anymore. But there were 15 Druids in the last hero standing top 16, 6 Maligo, 6 Token, 2 Togwaggle, 1 Taunt, 14 Hunters, all cube, 11 Paladins, 8 even, 3 odd, 10 Warlocks, 7 even, 2 Zoo and a cube, 6 Rogues, 4 Quest, and 2 odd. God, I hope that deck finally dies. 5 Shaman, all Shutterwalk, 2 Cloning Priest, 1 odd Warrior. The winning lineup was Mali Druid, Death Rattle Hunter, even Paladin, Quest Rogue. Second place was Mali Druid, even Paladin, Clone Priest, and Quest Rogue. Please be dead. Please. Please. I love Rogue. I want you to be gone. So the Invitational was much more interesting. There were 6 Paladins, 2 Control Paladin, 2 Heal Paladin, 1 Odd Paladin, and 1 Holy Wrath OTK Paladin. I know you're curious. We're going to talk about it. Don't worry. There were 5 mages, 4 Odd Mages. When's the last time you ever heard that sentence? 1 Hero Power Mage, but not Odd Hero Power. Just regular Hero Power Mage, like you're used to. I don't know either. So 4 Hunters, 1 Recruit, 1 Secret, 1 Beast, 1 Spell. They're all good, by the way. 4 Warriors, all Dragon, 2 Shamans, both Aggro Shaman, 1 Druid Quest, 1 Warlock Quest, 1 Priest APM Quest. So.
Dog played that one, right?
Yeah. And there are some cool Boomsday stories. We're not going to go too deep into those. I do recommend watching the latest Trollden video because there were a couple great clips in there. Tyler versus Yarla. The Shutterwalk Mirror, that game ended in a bang, if you know what I mean. Boy, it was crazy. Tyler had Hammeted in the Shutterwalk Mirror, and Yarla had to play Hagatha and then a Tempo Shutterwalk, which got him the Stormbringer, which got him a Black Hell Gunspire. You should watch the clip. Game is fun. And there was a really funny clip from TESPA where one team decided that filling their board with 7 Devilsaur eggs was a good idea, and the other team said, I'm also a hunter, I'm going to hero power you. And the team that didn't fill their own board with minions they couldn't kill ended up winning the game. I'm pausing briefly for breath. Now is the time to speak if you have anything to say.
Also, Teebs is going to China.
Yes, Teebs is going to China. Teebs won the WESG Women's Qualifier, correct?
Yes, and it was against Shadow Misstep, who's also a friend of mine, and both did very, very well. And
Yes.
also, the co-ed finals happened as well, and I don't know who won that, but I think maybe Impact did.
Impact beat the Jor dude in the finals.
Okay.
Because his tweet was a meme tweet of Artifact player defeats Shadowverse player in finals of Hearthstone.
Shadowverse versus Artifact.
Yeah. That sounds like Impact. Yeah, WESG, and we're going to dig more into WESG. The qualifiers are coming to a close over the next couple weeks. I believe the Canadian qualifier is this weekend.
It just happened.
Oh, it just happened. Which one is
that's
this
how
weekend?
This past weekend was Canada. This weekend is nothing. Next week we have upcoming. I could actually tell you the schedule because I work for it. Haha. Is going to be. I'll just read this really fast. If I could pull it up. There it is. Is next week is going to be Mexico and North America, Peru, South America, Brazil, literally every single South American country, Africa, and also the Sweden, Baltics, Denmark, Scandinavia qualifier.
Say that 5 times fast. Also, please don't. Please don't.
Okay.
Don't do it. I appreciate the enthusiasm. Thank you very much for that information. We've got a whole bunch of information as well about other tournaments you can watch this upcoming weekend. But I want to talk about the Invitational, and I want to talk about how you should all go watch Rhdgurwns play whenever you can, and especially the match against Dog, which went to 5 games. First of all, Rhdgurwns brought Quest Warlock to the last Invitational, and won a game with it by getting the quest reward and not being good enough and playing Azalina and stealing his opponent's hand because the opponent was not playing Quest Warlock and that was good enough to win. That was what Rhdgurwns last time. This time he says, turn 1 quest, turn 2 Solarium, draw 3, discard 3, turn 3 coin Cataclysm, get back 2 High Priestess Decklists and a quest reward. And that game was close. And you should watch that game because it came down to a reverse lethal. You should watch it. But that's not the game we're talking about. We're also not talking about game 3, where Dog shows that he's a master of APM Priest and wins with it by changing the combo. It's no longer Stone Tusk Boar. Now it's Akanai Phantasm, the 2-mana 3/2 that says this turn all your healing deals damage, and the new 0-mana heal 3 card. And the rope goes for longer than the turn. And you can actually see Dog like browsing Reddit on his screen while the cards are still playing. But we're not talking about that game. That's not the game. The game to watch is Game 4, the Paladin OTK Mage against Rhdgurwns Odd Mage. Because Rhdgurwns gets good early development. He's got Black Cat and a Serenite Taskmaster and a couple of pings, keep the board clear. Meanwhile, Dog is like, well, turn 3, I'm at 1, gain 29 armor. The armor starts getting whittled down, but the healing starts happening. And when Rhdgurwns plays a Pyromancer, the Paladin hero power doesn't really work because it draws your opponent a card. It's life tap, except you don't take 2, the 1/1 takes 2. So Dog has to quality consecrate on 6, gets a couple of taunts from the Serenite Taskmaster, fights for the board with the True Silver, but he's only at 14. He's facing down 2 Blaze Callers in hand, and they are crackling with fiery kill-you energy. So in turn 9, Dog has to go New Challenger, and he makes a Blackguard, the 3/9, we called it Life Juggler. That's the one where when you heal, it deals damage to a minion. 3/9 Taunt Divine Shield, but Blaze Caller, it goes to the right place. It goes face. So it's time for a timeout. We take a turn off. We just chill for a second. By the way, the hand has Holy Wrath, Baleful Banker, Shirvala. There are too many cards in the deck for what you don't know yet. Well, we'll tell you. So, Rhdgurwyn says, when my opponent's immune, I'm just going to trade and play some stuff. And Dog does what's obvious. Oh. What? Oh, they're making timeout fingers at me. So, Dog does what's obvious. Shirvala, Baleful Banker it. Attack for 7 after I play my Soup Vendor. You've all seen that line of play before, right? By the way, Soup Vendor, if you don't know, is a neutral 2-mana 1/4. Whenever you heal for, I think it's 2 or more, you draw a card. I have no idea. I've never seen the card before. 3 or more. Thank you, Appa. So, that was a turn. Dragon's Fury clears the suddenly huge board, and Rhdgurwyn plays Arcane Tyrant, Zola Arcane Tyrant. They're both free. Both the qualities have been used, but Shrink Ray, Pyro, Flash of Light me, I go back up to 16. Shirvala's back in hand, close to the end of the deck, Novice Engineer. Rhdgurwyn's like, okay, I've got this 7-mana 4/4 legendary. Also, it gets a Ragnaros. Boom. So Dog has 2 cards left in his deck, and here's what he does. He says, Flash of Light myself, 1 card left in deck. Timeout. 0-mana Shirvala. Play Stampy. Where is it? Where's my bumper? I don't have it. I messed up, guys. I'm supposed to have an elephant bumper. Stampy. Baleful Banker. Shuffling 2 Shirvalis. Shirvalis. There are 3 cards left in the deck. 2 of them are Shirvala. Next turn. Draw a card. Holy Wrath you. You take 52.
Isn't timeout so much fun?
Was that not fun?
It was fun for one person.
It was fun for
And
2
I guess
people. I
the
was there.
entirety of-
Do I not
I
count?
guess the entirety of Twitch chat.
Are you not having fun right now?
I mean, I'm having fun listening to it. I can imagine
It's
being
fun. If that
being
happens,
the other dude and getting 50 and just being
Okay.
like, come on, man.
the first time someone saw Raza and Anduin, it was super fun. The 50th time, less fun. I don't think the Baleful Banker Stampy double Holy Wrath you deck is gonna be super competitive, but I hope to be wrong for 3 months. And then I hope it goes away forever. So, we'll see what happens. But watch the whole series. Great series. Really amazing. Next week, like you heard about, we got the Swedish Baltic thing that I asked Bemmie not to say, and I'm going to ask him not to say it again now because I'm the only one that talks fast in this show. And the national championship round of TESPA will be the 8th and the 9th this weekend. Top 4 teams from each region will fight it out. You can watch it. It's going to be cast. And then the weekend after is going to be the top 8 in the finals. Closed qualifier for the Hearthstone Canadian Challenge will be the 8th. And then the finals will be played the week after. Bemmie, are you casting this? I feel like you are.
Casting what?
The Hearthstone Canadian Challenge.
No.
Oh, you're not. Well, then you can watch it. Great. If you're
Yeah.
not casting like 9 other tournaments or something.
I'm casting something with Gia for After Hours Gaming League Grand Finals. That's about it.
Yeah. Oh, G is great.
Jesus.
So, and that's our tournament section. So now it is time, unless anyone has anything to add, for Decksplanation.
Australia just happened in WESG as well, and Smiley Chris is going to China.
Oh, Smiley Chris is going to China. That's right. How do we forget about Smiley Chris? Smiley Chris, you're great. Congratulations. You're going to China. You won. You're a winner. And she's been a member of our Discord for a long time. And she's really good at Hearthstone. So props to Smiley Chris for Australia and qualifying. And good luck in China. And that's our tournament section. So now it's time for Decksplanations.
So we're going to try and make this explanations relatively quick. So we're just going to have a round table. I'm going to go through and ask some questions, and we're just going to round table. So first question is, what decks have you all seen on the first and second day of the expansion? What have you been playing against the most?
Hunter. I think that's what basically everybody put here is.
Yeah.
Zul'jin is good. Death Rattle Hunter is still very good, and
Spring
yeah,
Paw's
there's
good.
a lot of people playing Hunter.
Spring
Yeah,
Paw's really good.
I haven't played against a lot of Spring Paws, but I put it in my first deck. It seemed fine.
Baited Arrow. Card's good.
Yeah. That card, as we said, and people did not believe us, but turns out that card's pretty good. And I feel like it might end up not making the cut currently, but after rotation, I'm expecting that card to go back up in value a lot, because that card, yeah, it's not that hard. It has not seemed that hard to make a 5/5 to me.
It's in a
And-
format where Ziliax is one of the most played cards. Baited Arrow, real good.
But yeah, lots of Hunter. What else have I seen? A lot of people experimenting. First couple days is always a lot of fun. I saw Orange tweet out. He said, "Everybody, please don't put good cards in your deck. I'm having so much fun right now playing all these janky decks and winning with them. Thanks." And then he said, "Unfollow me if you put any good cards in your deck." Just kidding. Please don't unfollow me. That was a good tweet. What about anything else from you guys? What else have you guys seen?
I just put that I've been seeing a lot of Hunter and Odd Mage. I've seen a lot of a bunch of different stuff like sprinkled in, but it feels like what the majority of people have been testing have been Zul'jin Hunter decks, and then decks that can take advantage of the Ragnaros bird. I don't know how exactly to pronounce it. I haven't heard a pronunciation yet, so I'm gonna call her Ragnaros bird.
Channel Eye, right?
Yeah, I think
Maybe
it's
yeah,
Ragnabird.
Ragnabird? Okay, that's good.
Yeah.
Yeah, 7-mana Ragnaros is pretty good. So people are doing that for a while.
Yeah. Wait, Ragnagoose? No. Ragnabird.
Ragnabird.
There is only one goose, and he goes in Druid, and the goose is definitely still very loose because Malagoose is still really good. I played a little bit of Malagos Druid with the new War Druid Lodi. I was like, this card's pretty sweet, right? Yep. Just took out my control text, put in Alex Draza, and because some lists don't play it, and I just put in a War Druid Lodi and was like, all right, still pretty good. Goose is still loose. Awesome.
Bemmie, what have you seen?
Odd Mage Ragno. I lost to Odd Mage. I've just been seeing a lot of that. The Hunter I haven't been seeing much. I've been also seeing a bit of Paladin, and that's roughly about it. Nothing too crazy. I did see one Mechathune Priest that was trying out some stuff, but didn't they forgot that, I don't know, they just accidentally silenced their Mechathune, and that was basically it.
How?
They basically, I don't know why, but they accidentally misclicked, I guess, their Spellbreaker. For some reason, they were running a Spellbreaker in the deck. It was something interesting where basically the idea, I guess the idea is like they just use a lot of the low cost healing and duplicating cards and just like get it out of the way. And that was it. And I wish I saw more discard Warlock, but I haven't been seeing that much except for my list bank.
Yeah.
What cards have impressed you guys so far? Like, what do you think you either were a little too low on, or something that you just played with and you're like, wow, this is just better than I thought?
So I haven't played with it yet, but I've seen it be played a lot, and it has done exactly what I said it would do, which is mass hysteria in Priest. That card either was going to completely wipe the board or do nothing, and most of the time it seems to be completely crushing the board and leaving maybe one minion up. But that card has looked super good. I saw it played against Appa on a stream. Unfortunately for Appa, it did some work, and then I was watching Asmodai play the Princess Talanji Priest, which seemed really cool. But it played Mass Hysteria, and it was doing so much work for him. It was destroying a lot of board states that looked kind of scary. It was a really good way. Priest seems to have trouble with a Hunter Spellstone, especially fully upgraded, and Mass Hysteria does a lot of work against fully upgraded Spellstone. Just kind of negates that from the Hunter to prevent a lot of damage, give you time to get to Psychic Scream and stuff like that.
It's like really super Collider.
Super duper Collider.
Yeah, I like that. Like,
Yeah, since
what's
they're-
better
they're
than
talking
Super?
about-
Bat Collider. Because
What?
Batman's better than
Bat-
Superman.
Oh my god. Anyway, since they're talking about it in chat right now, I was going to talk about my cards because they're all shaman cards, because that's mostly what I've been playing. But Lickum is very good. Fire War Axe turns out with an extra tier ability is real nice. I think Zentimo is great. I admittedly have not played with the Unstable Evolution mid-range shaman decks because I think those are usually bad. But I can see how Zentimo is good there. But just Zentimo with Zap, Zentimo with Hex, Zentimo with Lightning Bolt, Zentimo with Unstable, or not Unstable Evolution, Earth and Might. He just provides a lot of value. He's basically a 3-mana kicker to your spells to give them AoE, and that's really nice, and it's what you need a good amount of the time. And I know Bodicus was watching me play. I played a mid-range shaman deck last night on stream, and I also played a Mimi just full overload shaman. And every time I played Zentimo, Bodicus was just like, "This card's nuts. This card is sick."
It was insane every time. Every time he played it, it was just the most nuts it could possibly be. He's like, turn 3 Zentimo, zap your 3 minions, take away all your stuff.
Now,
Yeah.
you overloaded for 3, though, right?
Yes.
Yeah, who cares? All his stuff's gone.
It's probably worth, but
I just turned my zap into a lightning storm. I don't
okay.
care.
I just want to confirm the interaction, not the quality.
Yeah,
It's
yeah,
out. That's 0
Yeah,
mana.
it
Deal 2 to
overloads you
all of your
for-
stuff. Overload 3. I would play that card.
Yeah.
The only issue I saw with Zentimo is the animation time takes forever.
I cast
so-
a lightning bolt and it hit the first minion, and then I was like, okay, where's the damage on the other two? Did this bug out? And then the animation started, and I was like, oh no, not like this.
Yeah, just
They'll fix
imagine
it.
with unstable evolution takes an
It
eternity.
takes
You have
forever.
to know you're gonna do it right away and just start going.
Imagine if
Yeah,
they
and-
learned this
and then-
lesson from a shaman card this year for
Yeah.
animation timing.
Yeah, and then Frogwa I think is also very, very good.
I like him. Frog was alright. It's you. I do think that you're right. The unstable evolution is barking up the wrong tree with shaman. My favorite shaman card from this set is Thunderhead, because you can actually play with it finally. Because the broken shaman cards that you get, the really powerful shaman cards that you get, are Lickum and Spirit of the Frog. Spirit of the Frog. So there's the aggro shaman deck going around right now with Doomhammers. So the only spells you play are Zap, Voltaic Burst, Lightning Bolt, Rock Biter Weapon, and Lava Burst. And then you go Zap, draw a card, Lightning Bolt something, draw a card, Rock Biter your face, draw a card, Lava Burst you, and you die. Really, really good. And Lickum it makes me realize that Spirit Claws at 2 was still a card we should have been playing the whole time. Like, we should have just been playing that card, because a 2-mana 3/3 weapon with some kind of crazy hoop to jump through is still a 2-mana 3/3 weapon. It's just powerful.
But I would argue though that hitting Overload is way easier than getting spell power.
Yes.
At least consistent.
It
Like
also lasts for 2 turns, right?
Yes.
Yeah, the Overload
The
lasts
fact
for
that
2 turns.
Overload lasting for 2 turns is a huge buff to it, I guess.
It's
just
it makes Overload worth it. And anytime that Blizzard has made Overload worth it in a card, usually the card has been busted, because the last time I remember was a little Trogzor that made Overload worth it. It was anyways.
Yeah.
Point here is Lickum's great. I
Instead
agree.
of Trog's rule, should Lickum say Frog's rule?
Yes. So what else? All right, I'm gonna go quick because I have a bunch of cards. Zul'jin, obviously great. Beta Arrow, obviously great. Thunderhead, favorite shaman card of the expansion. Voon kicked my butt with Ember Scale Dragons. I thought I was winning with Aggro Shaman, then my opponent played 3 Ember Scale Dragons in 2 turns, and then I lost. They also got a Dustbreaker that wasn't super fair. And Raiding Party was the missing piece to a lot of puzzles, because getting Kingsbane is good. Getting Pirates with Kingsbane that make the Kingsbane better is better. And having a critical mass of ways to get Kingsbane whenever you want is really good. And it just draws you 3 cards. You just play it and you draw 3 cards. It's really good. What about you, Bemmie?
Yeah, I forgot to mention that raiding. Well, I mentioned it at the show, but Raiding Party was so gross.
Yeah.
Even just prep Raiding Party turn 1, play Kingsbane. Oh, it's so good.
Yeah. Bemmie?
Just 2 cards. I had to actually pull up the Hearthstone client just to get the names. I love Hakar, the Soul Flayer. I've been trying to work on just sort of decks where it's
Corrupted Blood Man.
Yeah. Corrupted Blood, and just work on like sort of mill decks with it, and just been trying to work out with that. I think it works really well and wild, but definitely trying to figure out some standard ways. Like, I've just been using it with Warrior a lot because I draw a lot of armor. And then I also love the 4-mana legendary 3/4 that doubles your dragons, or 4/3.
Voon, yeah. Voon is
Voon.
Voon is great.
Love Voon. Voon
Yeah.
is 100% great. And I'll talk about why I love Voon so much in our second to last question.
Yeah, I thought you would shuffle the Bloods back and then could instantly draw them again, but you take the damage, then you don't shuffle them in until after, so you can't actually chain them infinitely, so it doesn't work the way I thought.
You could, to an extent. I played it against a shaman, and it did that a couple of times.
Yeah, you just have to make the opponent draw multiple cards, I think.
Mm-hmm.
Yep. Cards that seem worse than we
Manatite Totem
expected.
is your worst friend.
Oh, yeah. Cards that seem worse than we expected?
Yeah, so the one I had, for right now, I have Bloodclaw as the one that's worse than I expected. That's the 1-mana 2/2 Paladin weapon that deals 5 to yourself. And I don't think this card's bad. I just think since people are experimenting and everything right now, there's not a lot of like stuff happening on the board. It's a lot of just secrets and odd mage pinging stuff and dragon warrior doing nothing. So the Bloodclaw isn't actually that great. Like a 1-mana 2/2 weapon isn't great in an environment where you're not fighting for the board early. So I think once the meta starts to settle and we start to see probably resurgence of Zoo and stuff like that, I think Bloodclaw will get a lot better. But right now, I'm definitely lower on it than I was going into the expansion.
Yeah, speaking of cards that I'm lower on than when I first initially had looked at them, Walk the Plank. I saw it get played against Appa yesterday, and I was like, that ain't it. So I do think that card has potential to be powerful later, but that's not where I want to be card-wise right now. Walk the Plank. Not there yet, but maybe in the future, we'll see.
I will say that in a coaching session, our opponent got a Sunwalker off of a Stonehill Defender, and that is a fun card to walk the plank. Because we don't care about your Divine
pretty
Shield.
good.
We don't care about your Divine Shield. We don't care about your 4/5 butt. We just plank ya. Planks, but no planks. All right. What else? Zentimo, I only played him in the Unstable Evolution decks, and he was 100% win more there, so he might be a value Shaman card. I don't know if Krog was a win more card too, and I could see it being relevant in Shaman decks I wasn't playing, but where you're trying to generate mid-range value, it's just too slow and not enough.
Yeah, the decks I was playing got back either Volcanoes. I cut that from the deck, but it did get back Volcanoes or Earthen Mites. Or getting back Rain of Toads is nice.
Yeah.
That one is
yeah.
good.
I haven't
I also got back the Lightning Storm. That was really good. That turn sequence was really good. Going Lightning Storm into Krogwa just was fine.
Yeah, I
in that
have not I have not gone for frog value. I've gone for frog tempo. And I think that it's a value card because I've been going for tempo. I am curious about Warlock because every Warlock deck I've seen seems like an idea that's not quite finished. And sometimes you get the turn 3 Cataclysm, get back the quest reward, but then you play the quest reward and die anyway to Doomhammer. So I haven't seen that be relevant enough. And I'm really worried that the best decks of this expansion are the decks of last expansion plus Zul'jin, because I played a game against Odd Paladin and it felt oppressive. And I played against Big Spell Mage with, I think it had one new card, and I think it had Arcanosaur, but I'm not even sure, which gains life with Jaina. And it felt just better than what I was doing most of the time. So, hope I'm wrong. We're very early on. Spell Hunter obviously seems good. Beast Hunter in a mid-range shell I think is good enough, but outside of Hunter and maybe a couple of the Kingsbane decks, I really hope that what we have now lasts a little bit longer. We'll see.
All right, so what do you guys think everybody should be playing then? What should our listeners try to dive into, assuming they have the cards for them? I'm going to start out by saying aggro pirate Kingsbane rogue. Obviously, unless you see a lot of odd paladins out there, because I have a feeling that matchup is unwinnable. But yeah, I will post my list in the Discord. You can also check out a less aggro version of it that focuses more on Kingsbane. If you check out Feno's Twitter, he was having a lot of success with it, but also said similar things that you can't beat Odd Paladin. So, Appa, where should our listeners go?
You know the spice. You know this one.
Oh yeah, I was watching. This deck is nice.
So I was playing just full Overload Shaman last night on stream, and somebody came in chat. I forget who it was. I'm so sorry, but tweet at me if you hear this and just jog my memory. But somebody called it Frog Champ Shaman because it was Rain of Toads, Lickum, Krogwa, and then Earth Elemental for the traditional Bog Champs.
I need this
yeah,
list.
Frog Champ Shaman was fun. It was awesome. Getting back like Rain of Toads, Lightning Storms, and Volcanoes, and then playing 0 mana 8/8s on like turn 6 was just nice. It was awesome.
DM me that, please.
Yeah, I'll probably post it on Twitter in a little while. But yeah, it was a fun deck. I'm not saying it's good, but if you have the cards for it and you're looking for something fun to play, it's a good time.
It's always for me. I'm sorry. Do you want to go ahead?
No, go ahead, Bimmy.
Okay. Okay. Just basically, I have a fun little creation I've made. I haven't been playing anything that like anybody's suggesting, but like when I saw the Dragon Warrior specific dragon, I was like hyped for it, and I really wanted to do Dragon Warrior. So I actually managed to make something where basically, it's been dealing really well with actually some of the aggro decks, just Odd Paladin, and a bunch of board stuff, because I do have things like Scale Worm, Ruthless Flurry with some shield blocks, and I actually find the Blood Razor comboed with also what is it called?
The new champion, the 3/2 for 3.
Not the new champion, but it's basically it is some dragon where basically the battle cry is that it does one. It's like a mini
It's the 5
It's
mana
like
3/6.
oh, Primordial Drake. It's like a mini version of that. It does 1 damage of
5 mana
everything.
3/6 that deals 1 damage to all minions.
Yeah, really good. I find that really useful with the Blood Razor. And then on top of that, also comboing wise, it really works well because since you're building up shields and whatnot and a lot of defensive, heavy metal has been pretty useful with it. And then just on top of that, also Fire Tree Witch Doctors have been so useful in that deck as well. Just I think it's just an amazing card with the fact that you can just get an extra brawl just real quick.
Have you tried any Scorched Drakes? Is that you know which one I'm talking about? The 7 mana 7/4.
Yeah, I have. I've actually found that pretty situational. So if I get it with a Bone Drake, I might. But like I've been actually using the Bone Drakes more and just been like getting it also via the Dragon Caller, which is the 2 mana spell that allows you to get 2 random dragons into your hand. And I find that to be very effective because isn't it if you're holding a dragon in your hand, not just a battle cry?
Right, yeah. If you're holding a dragon in your hand, deal 7 to a minion.
Oh,
Yeah.
Crowd Roaster.
Oh, sorry, yeah, Crowd Roaster.
Yeah,
What
I was
did I
like
call it?
Scorch Drake. I had to look it up. I was like, that doesn't exist.
Yeah,
That sounds
yeah,
cool
Crowd.
though.
That's a
Crowd
card
Roaster.
that I've seen people be a lot higher on now after they gotten to play with it and been like 7's a lot. And it makes a 7/4. I got
Seven's a
my
lot of
fire
power.
elemental. I got my fire elemental crowd roasted last night, and I'm like, that's so big.
Oh
And
And then you
boy.
had
It's
to hex it, right?
Yep. It
Fire
two-for-one me real hard.
Elemental. Fire Elemental Crowd Roast like you thought you had tempo. Man, 7 is a big
Dragon
number.
Moth Scorcher. There we go.
Yeah.
That was a strong one.
Yeah. If you want to win, listeners, you should play Spell Hunter. If you want to have fun, play what you want. I recommend various Shaman decks. Get the value ones from Appa and the Doomhammer ones from me. But if you want to win, Spell Hunter's currently the most played and most successful deck that I've seen. And we all said we've seen a lot of Hunter, and there's a reason for that. You don't have to go Spell Hunter, but you probably should.
Are you playing Zontimo in your Rockbiter deck?
I don't have him in the list I've been playing, but now I think that's wrong.
Do you have Zaps in the deck?
Yeah.
Yeah, it's probably if you can find a spot for it. It seems like those 2 cards alone make it worth it.
Yeah, I think I probably could. But the
At least
deck
a
is
test.
doom hammering people, which is also very, very pleasant. I missed that. I missed it so much. Yeah. Crafting.
I would advise against crafting anything right now, unless you have excess dust that you would not mind seeing just disappear. If you're okay, if you have enough dust that you can burn some, just burn whatever you think you'll have fun with. Like craft whatever you think you'll have fun with. If you don't have excess dust to do that, wait a week and just play with what you got. Try and have some fun. Play some brawl with some new decks. Play some arena. Just wait until we start seeing the meta work itself out before you craft. And that would be my advice.
Please wait a week. Last expansion, I made Floop's Glorious Gloop on day 1, and I feel like the card name is misleading. It's not super glorious. Still very gloopy, still very floopy, but no glory. Don't be like me. Don't gloop. Don't gloop, kids.
So I will agree with Appa and Hat, and also say Cannon Barrage. Don't craft Cannon Barrage, but you should craft Cannon Barrage.
Also,
PSA, it does 3 damage and then an additional 3 for each pirate you have, which is a very key difference that I missed the first time reading it, and I think makes it a lot more viable than I had thought initially.
wait. So like it deals if you have 2 pirates, it deals 9 each time, or
Yes.
wait. Hold on a sec. Hold on. Okay. So if I have 3 pirates and I play Cannon Barrage, it deals 9 3 times?
Oh no. No, it does
3 3 and 3.
You have 3 3 and 3.
What did you think the card did before?
If you have I thought it did 3 damage for each pirate you had.
So you thought it was target a
So if
thing?
you
Or you thought it was
No, I thought it was if you have a pirate, it deals 3. If you have 2 pirates, it deals 6.
okay.
He's saying there's an initial 3 that does not require a pirate, and then
Yes.
the addition is added on after.
Okay.
Yes. So if you have 4 pirates, you deal a total of 15 damage.
Yes. Okay. So I thought I was misreading the card because if it dealt 3 damage per pirate that number of times, I'd be like, that card is broken. I haven't cast
Yes.
it yet.
But still, doing it with 2 pirates and dealing 9 damage is a pretty good card for
Yeah.
6 mana when you can prep it out. And when you have 3 pirates, that's when it starts going crazy.
That sounds pretty aggressive. And
it's fun.
if there is a card that you had to craft right now that you needed to craft something, Zul'jin, as long as Spellstone is still in the format, card's going to be great. The reason that I recommend against crafting it right away, unless you for sure want to play Spell Hunt in the next 3 months, is because when you lose Wandering Monster, To My Side, Rock Dalar, Emerald Spellstone, Flanking Strike, I think, Candle Shot, Deathstalker Rexar. When you lose these cards that I'm saying, you might not have a home for Zul'jin. Because right now, Zul'jin is basically a Gul'dan that fills your board with beasts and secrets.
And a lot of those beasts charge at your face for a lot, real quick.
Yeah. So, you're going to lose all those cards. So, Zul'jin is going to be great until rotation. After rotation, the things that Zul'jin does might not be as powerful. So, just be aware.
Anything else? Any other cards you want to add, Bemmie?
No, just accurately stated me saying saying why you shouldn't craft Zul'jin when I said I want you to craft Zul'jin.
Yeah, I mean, I want to, full disclosure, I
You
made
shouldn't
it.
craft, but
I made it. I did it. I did the thing I told you not to do. Bemmie, did you make it?
no, I didn't yet. But I do find it fun with Whispering.
So you were going to tell people not to craft it when you hadn't, and I'm telling people not to craft it when I had.
Because I was thinking about crafting it after the show, but then you made a very good PSA.
I mean, it's a fun card. Just it's in 4 months, that effect might not consistently fill the board or play a bunch of secrets. Well, it'll still play a bunch of secrets, but it's the board filling.
I feel like just honestly, maybe potentially with like, I have no idea. Maybe if you did it with like Death Rattle Hunter, it might work.
I think there are ways to make it work, but right now it's very consistent. What's also consistent
you're
is our show going over 2 hours. So
Sorry.
How long can this go on?
Bemmie, you listened to our show before. It's not your fault. It's not your fault. It's not your fault. But want to give thanks to Stefan for letting us use his cover. Check him out on his channel, link in our show notes. Big thanks to Wicked for deck analysis, Hearthstone for Decklist, Wikipedia for tournament info, Hearthstone tournament on YouTube for tournament VODs. The show notes for this week's episode are on our website, coinconcede.com. You can support our show at patreon.com/coinconcede. Join us every week live by following us on Twitch at twitch.tv/coinconcedepodcast. Join our community chats in our Discord at discord.coinconcede.com. Right into our email at coinconcede@gmail.com. Don't forget, GerryT is on next week. Send us your questions. We want to hear from you. And follow us on Twitter at CoinConcede. If you like some CC swag, head over to our shop at shop.coinconcede.com. New shop at Dad Legend. Big thanks to our producers, Viriatus, Tacos, Ryan, and Donald. And Coin Concede time. Appa, who do you want to Coin Concede to this week?
I want to coin concede to everyone who's been stopping by my stream lately because I've been streaming not every day, but so close. I had to take a day off because it is finals week and I'm insane and I'm still streaming this week. But I did take a day off. I'm actually taking tonight off as well because I have that stupid seminar tomorrow. But then after that, every day up until Philly. And I've had a few people subscribe already, and I actually got my subscription loyalty badges in on my channel, and they're awesome. So shout out to the artist who made that. I tweeted about it. I forget their name, but it's on my Twitter page. They did an awesome job, and they're cute little pugs that you get if you come and subscribe to my Twitch channel. And I'll actually just plug that right now, and that's going to be twitch.tv/ApaHS.
Yeah. Bemmie, you have any coin concedes? Anyone you want to shout out or coin concede to?
I want to coin concede to Broken Alliance for when I was with them. They were wonderful the short moment I was there, and coin concede to Royal Blue for picking me up as a streamer, and then also coin concede to all the casters that have been working with me in WESG. They're hardworking folks, both the men and women. They've been super supportive, and coin concede to you guys as well for letting me be on here. It's such an honor.
Bodicus.
Oh yeah, thank you so much, Bemmie, for coming on. It was a pleasure having you on here, getting to talk to you. Meeting you for the first time. It's pretty awesome. My coin concede is going to go to Mage of Death. We met on ladder last night, and he was having a bit of a rough go at it. And I was playing aggro Pirate Kingsbane Rogue, and he saw me play Kingsbane on turn 1 and groaned a little bit. And I was able to get there in that game, but it was still a lot of fun. I'm looking forward to my coaching session with him this month, and also coin concede to Captain Hook Tusk. Speaking of cards that you should not craft, that I crafted on day 1, that is one of them. But man, it's sweet when you play her. Play her, get out 3 rushing pirates. It's pretty sweet. I definitely won both games that I played her, but I still don't think I'd recommend crafting her.
Yar. Coin concede to the Pod People. I realize that my Team Hearth League team is called the Pod People, and last week I said over and over again I am not a pod person, and I feel bad about it, because in that way, I am a pod person. So, shout out to the Pod People. Coin concede to you. That's Rock Base Chris from 1600 Dust, Dyrus Bear. We've got Mojo Powell. We've got Zeroshio over in the Hero Power Cast. And we've got me and our 6th man, Toku NJT, Lauren Conrad, GIF user extraordinaire. So, coin concede to that squad. Coin concede to Smiley Chris for being great and repping the league not the league. Coin concede to Smiley Chris for repping the community super well and for being such a positive force and also really good at Hearthstone. And coin concede to Bagels. You have made my mornings tolerable. Couldn't do it without you. And, man, if there's anything that makes a morning tolerable before the sun has come up, it is a New York City bagel. Fresh and hot. Just need it. Bemmie, where can people find you? You're muted, buddy.
Whoops, sorry about that. By the way, I thought you meant Bagels as a real player, not the food.
Is there a person Bagels?
No, I just assume.
No, I like the food. I mean, if there were a person named Bagels, they're okay, but I'm here for the food.
All right, fair enough. You can find me on Twitter at BemmieEsports, and then pretty much I just tweet everything there. You can follow me on Twitch. I sometimes stream. It's Bemmie_, all lowercase, and yeah, that's where you can find me. And I just tweet about stuff I'm casting or working on.
Bodicus.
You can find me on Twitter. I'm at BodicusHS, and I'm going to stop plugging my Twitch because I keep plugging it and keep not streaming. So maybe I'll do the thing where I stream first and then plug it on the show, and that'll make a lot more sense than what I'm doing.
I think that's a good plan. Appa, where can people find you, speaking of streamers?
You can find me on Twitter at Appa_HS and on Twitch, twitch.tv/AppaHS.
And you can find me on Twitter at Ridiculous Hat, on Discord wherever Hearthstone is discussed at Ridiculous Hat. That is going to be our show. Thank you so much for taking 2 hours out of your Rastakhan's Rumble time. Keep calm. Slow down for speed bumps. And if you see us on the ladder, coin concede.
Coin concede.
Coin concede.
Coin concede.
Take cold comfort in your victory. victory. You win. I can rest now. You win. For now. Now, your victory proves nothing.
The day is